Guys, real quick, it's essential. Whenever you get a sub, always wash it down with a pickle. Specifically garlic. Garlic pickles, you can't go wrong. But guys, I had two calls. I came from, and both calls were in and out. I was going to vlog the second one. Technically, that second call I just came from, I won't call it like a recall, but the call that I was at a few days ago, I put this one up with the 6 units, and I think what was going on there, I think the thermostat, I had to turn the thermostat from fan on to auto. Make a long story short, guys, the customer called back yesterday and said that another area in the back office, I think the back doctor's office area, was getting cold. It was dropping down to 65, and like I told him, I'm like, all right, well, here's what I did upstairs. Go back to the thermostat. Is the thermostat on fan auto? He was like, yeah, the thermostat is on fan auto. And guys, like I said, I went there literally just like maybe 30 minutes ago, and I go there and someone knocked the float switch out. Like, guys, you seen this unit on camera. This is one of the units that were downstairs. But basically, someone put like a bunch of boxes full of like materials in front of that unit, and they knocked the float switch out. And as a result, that as soon as that float switch got knocked out, it turned the unit out. It turned the unit off. So, guys, like I said, that wasn't really much of a service call. Like I said, I was in and out, and I wasn't really trying to stay there for too long. But guys, now that we back, I was going to put this title up yesterday, but I wanted to make a different title. But guys, this is episode either 36 or 37. We're getting up here with the GMC numbers, guys. But guys, the title of this convo I want to talk to y'all about is fate really a real thing, or is fate like what you make it? And guys, I'm going to preface this by something that me and someone else talked about a while ago. I forgot. The topic was like, do you believe in free will, or is all life predetermined? And guys, like this makes you think about it. Like, regardless of what you believe in, like, like, do you really believe in freedom of choice? Like, from birth until like the day you die, are you really in control of all your actions, or do you think that, regardless of how, let's say hypothetically speaking, like if you were born in 1960s, it was meant for you to live a certain way and die a certain way. Before, that's without you even having free will to change it. And like someone brought up, I think this is either at the gym, I forgot where this was. Someone brought this up. He goes, yeah, well, I mean, technically it's free will, but it's not really free will. I'm like, what do you mean it's not free will? Like, you can choose to like do something or not do anything. Like, but he goes, like, I think life is predetermined, because like eventually, nothing, like I said, life is not always guaranteed, of course. Like, say random things can happen, but he goes, like, eventually, like I said, we all end up, we're all gonna end up in the same place, to make a long story short. But I'm like, yeah, but like, I mean, and like I said, guys, once again, I come from a Christian background. That's where the ideology started from. But like, I'm like, and guys, like I said, not to go down the rabbit hole with this, but like free will example, like, you make choices every day. But like, and guys, I mentioned this 1,000,001 times. For you guys that's just getting in here, I'm talking about the age-old conundrum of a question. Do you believe in free will, or is there, is life everything predetermined, without your input? I believe, guys, like, you have freedom of choice, but one thing I want you guys to think about here is, like, you have freedom of choice, but I feel like for every cause there's effect. For every action there's a reaction. If you walk across the street, and the bird shits on you, a bird, like I said, a bird is, you get what I'm saying, guys? Like, they're in, like, I don't know the scientific term, to take this back to thermodynamics. I think it's called, not entropy. Is it entropy? Like, basically, guys, what I'm trying to get at here is like randomness, like random activity. All that, like, you have billions and billions, and like, this is a great concept, guys, to think about. There's billions and billions of random things happening, like, each and every day, without you even knowing about it. You only know about it if you're involved in whatever's happening. But like, there's billions and billions of random things happening every day. Based on your actions, you're going to be either involved or not be involved with certain things, but you can't you can't predict or you can't control what's happening around you. And that's what I was trying to explain to the guy like a couple of months ago. I'm like, look, well, I do believe that, like I said, some things of life are predetermined, like based on the choices you make. And like I said, guys, like I believe in free will 1,000%. This is what I'm alluding to here. Like there is free will, but there's free will to an extent. Like you're free to make your own decisions, but you're not free from the consequences of those said decisions. If you wanted to, hypothetically speaking, if you want to be a criminal, then you should know what comes with that. A long jail sentence or somebody backdooring you, and like I said, you're getting killed. So it's like, but I feel like everybody, like I said, guys, like this is where it gets subjective. And this is what I was explaining to someone yesterday. Like, there's an objective truth, and it's like how someone chooses to take the truth. Like, the objective truth is like we all gonna die, but like someone else may think that we're gonna get reincarnated. Like, you get what I'm saying? Like, and not to go off the rabbit hole with that, guys, but like you can't always tell someone what to believe in because like everybody has their own way of going about things. But that still doesn't change the fact that it's your choice. If you choose not to do anything today, and like I said, not be productive, and next week or next month, eventually, like I said, once you feel some type of way, you want to say, you know what, damn, I should have did this a couple weeks ago. I should have did this a month ago. That's based on your decision not to do anything. So like, that's why I'm saying, guys, like free will is very important, but you got to understand, like it's already things out here happening. You get what I'm saying? Like it's already life happening, like regardless of if you like it or you don't like it. But like that's why it's important. Like I said, with your free will, with your decision making, you got to know what your desired outcome is. If your desired outcome is to, like I say, hypothetically speaking, is to make a lot of money, I feel like the smartest thing for you to do is to understand, what comes with that. Don't just assume that your whole journey is going to be in a straight line, going straight up. Like, nah, it doesn't happen like that. There's going to be bumps and bruises, but like I said, like the more you know about that before you make the decision, I feel like it'll be easier for you to stick with it. Like no one blindly commits to something long term without knowing what that entails. You get what I'm saying? Like, and now, like I said, guys, with the beauty of like how technology is now, you have the, you don't have to pay for it most of the time, but you have the ability to see other people's, perspectives, and you have the ability to see other people's past without you even paying or without you even going through everything yourself. But like, but with that being said, guys, like I said, this free will talk, a lot of people think that, everything is predetermined. Yeah, like some things are predetermined, but like, and like I said, guys, this is where us as human beings, I feel like this is like the limitations to human beings. Like, we can only predict so much. Like, and this goes back to a few GMC talks ago about the space and the oceans stuff. Like, I feel like with some things, it's not really meant for us to understand, but we still choose to. I'm talking to us as human beings. We still choose to, become curious about it, and that's human nature. Everybody has their own subconscious mind. Like I said, everybody's different, but I still think that there's like some things that's like not really meant for us to understand right now. But like, free will, like I said, it's really what you make of it. Like I said, I'm not saying that, every single thing in your life is like your choice. But once again, like I said, you have more control than what you think. Like I don't really believe the narrative of, like I said, like bad things are always happening to me or X, Y, Z. Like I said, not to like take it too personal, but like I said, people that talk like that, most of the time, if you look into their situation, they did have a choice to either, like I said, accept things for what it is and, like I said, move on, or, like I said, take action to stop things from happening. But like I said, to just fall back and just assume that, yeah, like, X, Y, Z is happening, like, nah, like, now that's that victim mentality shit. You get what I'm saying? Like, but like I said, guys, I want to know what y'all think about this. Y'all believe in free will, or do y'all think that all life has, like, it's all life, like, expected? Everything's expected, like, basically your whole life is already made out for you when you was born. Like, what do you guys think about that? Let me look at the comments here. Van, what's going on? Experience, what's up? But guys, like, I wanna know what y'all think about that though. Like with free will, like I said, I can tell you from my perspective, like I said, everything, I seen and everything I had to figure out on my own. Like, I feel like I was in control for the most part. But like I said, guys, I don't put blame, or like I said, me, right now I'm 33. At 23, I didn't talk like this. Like at 23, I was only a victim of like what I seen. I was still developing, like I said, mentally. I knew what, like I said, how society was. Like I knew at a young age, like I said, money really rules the world. But like, it's not just one path for everybody. And that took me a long time to understand. Like, I mean, hey, like, growing up, you may, like I said, guys, it is what it is, I'm not putting this on race or genders, but like growing up, maybe you was raised to, like, say, look at certain people a certain way just because, oh yeah, just because he rich or just because she rich, she got to be doing something illegal or she got to be a bad person. No. I mean, once you grow up and once you get around certain people, now you realize, like I said, it's always going to be haves and have-nots. Like, do you want to hang around negative people all the time? No, I don't care how much money someone has. I'm always going to be my own person. Like, that's why you got to understand, it's enough out here for everybody. I'm kind of starting to sound like a broken record. Like I said, when I say, it's definitely enough out here for everybody. But if you're not in that right mentality, if you don't have, like, if you don't have emotional control over, like I said, how you think and how you react, like I said, you're going to end up, subject to somebody else, like you're going to basically, someone else is going to be in control of your life, whether that be you in legal problem or, like I said, like you always going to be in the victim blaming mentality. But like I said, guys, that's why I encourage you guys to go out and, like I said, see the world, see a bunch of different perspectives. But like I said, like if I would have stayed in that mentality of, like I said, how I was raised, oh yeah, oh, just because he and she is not doing this or doing, guys, like who the hell talks like that? Like that's like some, like you get what I'm saying? Like, and that's why you got to hold yourself accountable, like I said, as early as you can, like I said, that's why I'm not saying if you guys do have parents or family or friends that, like I said, that can give you that perspective at a young age, cool. But like, I always encourage, like I said, don't try to keep yourself in a box. Like, even if, like I said, it's uncomfortable for you to, like, understand some things, I mean, that's the beauty of life. Like I said, I told you, like, the point of human beings is to evolve. Like, you're not supposed to, like I said, think and do the same shit you did at 13, at 23, and at 23 to 33. Like, I feel like, I mean, I go by 10-year intervals, but, like, every single year, every single, couple of years, like I said, you're supposed to grow and, like I said, learn new things. And, that's why, like I said, that predetermined outcome shit, it matters, but all that predetermined stuff is a bunch of your daily, how you think. And like I said, the choices that you made each and every day, pile that all those choices and all those decisions, pile that up into a year, pile that up into 5-10 years, you're going to be a totally different person. Like, that's why, like I said, guys, there's really no other way of explaining that. But like, I mean, like I said, I feel like I'm not the only person that believes in that, but there's people that opposes that view. They may think that, like I said, since he was born, it was meant for you to be in poverty or it was meant for you to do something illegal. No, like somebody else probably influenced you at a young age before your mind was developed to think a certain way. And like I said, like growing up, you had to realize like shit was wrong. But like, I mean, like I said, guys, once again, like you can't, I mean, unfortunately, kids are very impressionable. Like I said, as a kid, you're only going to know as much as, like I said, what people around you tell you. You don't know how the world is, but like once you get past a certain age, once you get, like I said, for me, like, so as soon as I hit trade school, like I said, I already knew, like, yo, like, it's sink or swim, survival mode, like, all that, damn, I wish I had someone to, like, all that shit went away. I'm like, look, if this is how life is, like, I'm not gonna lose, fuck this. And like, that's, and like I said, that's a realization only you can get to. Like, no one can force you to, like, they can try to, like I said, make you have a tough mentality, but like I mentioned in the other video, like, if you haven't been through anything, it's going to be hard for you to grasp that concept of, like, it's game time. You got to get on your grind. But, like, I mean, that's why I'm glad, like I said, that's why starting from nothing is a blessing, because, like, you always going to have you're always going to have a greater perspective of, like I said, what it means not to have anything. Like, if, like I said, somebody, and guys, look, this is some real deal shit. Like, everything I told you, everything came from a negative situation, one way or another. But, like, if I had someone tell me everything I'm telling y'all, like, and I had someone, like I said, that can hold my hand and tell me, you know what? Yeah, you don't have to do that. Like, I don't think I'll have that desire. Like, all this desire just came from me, like I said, wanting to learn new things, but like, it didn't come from me, like I said, asking one person a bunch of questions. You feel what I'm saying? Like, and that's what I'm telling you guys. Everything I'm telling y'all is not the end all be all. Like, you got to seek your own perspectives and, like I said, really forge your own path. Like, but it's just like, there's no one way to any of this shit. I feel like everything I went through, in 5 years, someone else is going to come out the same way, and they're going to be way past me. And in 10 years, someone's going to come out again, like I said, out of nothing, like I said, just off that strong desire to want to learn and grow. Like I said, guys, superstars, millionaires, like this shit is happening, like I said, and that's the beauty of life, guys. Like, you got, millionaires that's being born in poverty every day, but you never know, because like I said, that's their path. But like, I mean, like I said, like once you start to understand life and like you start appreciating different perspectives, even things you disagree with, guys, like once you start looking at life from, like I said, a grander aspect, like, yo, like you start to realize like your problems really isn't that bad. Like someone probably been through the same shit you've been through, even worse, but they made it out. And like I said, like I feel like that's the best way you can help people. I mean, of course, like I said, some people need emotional support. Some need, like I said, some people need, like I said, a shoulder to cry on, all that shit. But like the best way you can help people is by, like I said, accepting the situation you in, and like I said, making it out. Like, I mean, blaming, like I said, guys, imagine, no, this is real shit, guys. Imagine if I would have stayed in the situation I was in, like, even before trade school, like, if I would have stayed in that victim mentality shit, like, yo, you know what, man? I'm just going to blame my parents. I'm just going to blame the neighborhood I grew up in. I'm just going to blame my teachers for not telling me about, like, how credit card. Guys, like, that shit is like, I mean, like I said, people really want to hear that shit. Like, people just get online and just start complaining. Like, like I said, guys, if someone told you this shit growing up, they was lying. Life is not supposed to be easy. Like, and like I said, if you come from a place of disadvantage, that's a good thing, because now, guys, guess what? The shit I learned at 17, and like I said, not to put this against, find, people that, if your parents, like I said, put the groundwork in for you to live a better life, that's great. But like, the shit I learned at 17, like I said, it's no way in hell a kid that's 17 that was like born into billions of dollars, if their parents didn't install them values in them, guess what? Now it's going to take for them to, like I said, be at a place of disadvantage, maybe at a later point in life. That's why, like I said, millionaires kill themselves every day. So it's not like money protects you, but like, if you don't have those values in your head, as far as like, you know what, I know what happens at the bottom. It's not like I got to read this shit in the book. Like, look at, like I said, most of you guys understand this. Like, this is not like all peaches and rainbows. Like I said, like, life hits people hard every single day. But like, if you don't have the right mental tools, and like you don't have the mental fortitude, like I said, to bounce back, like, and pick yourself up, like I said, people, the shit happens. I'm telling you, and that's why, it's important to be humble. And like I said, it's important to, like I said, I mean, I'm not painting a pretty picture. Like I said, if you don't take care of business, guys, but like I said, like, it's always, like I said, shit always happens out here. But like, if you know where you came from, as far as, like I said, well, what you don't want to go back to, and you keep grinding, like I said, guys, like, you always gonna be in a better predicament. But like, I mean, this shit, like I said, freedom of choice is definitely here. Like I said, I mean, that's why, like, when people, this doesn't happen, like I said, as of recently, but like I said, back in the day, when I hear people start to say, damn, man, I wish I had that, I wish I had this. I mean, that you probably looking at somebody else's journey. That's their path. Like I said, it is, and like I said, that hating shit just doesn't work. If I see something, once again, if I see somebody, like I said, that's way past me, shit, you gotta assume that they put the work in. It's not really a comparison game. Like, shit, their path ain't my path. Like, but like I said, like, I'd rather take my situation now versus how I was 5 years ago. Like, similar to you guys, like I said, before you complain about how bad things are, now look at how it was 5-10 years ago. I'm pretty sure it's something you're doing now that you're proud of that you couldn't do before. You feel what I'm saying? Whether it be knowledge, financial, like I said, physical, like, shit. I mean, that's, you gotta be, that's how you start, that's how you build up your wins, guys. Like I said, each and every day, or each and every week, each and every month, like I say, you look back, all right, what did I accomplish this week or this month? Like, you start stacking those months up, and like I said, guys, I mean, this shit can really turn into something past your imagination, man. Like, I'm telling you guys, like, but I mean, but back to what I was saying, guys, with the free will, man. It's like I said, this is a very interesting concept, guys. Like, I mean, and like I said, this can vary with religion, like I said, but I think for the most part, it's all the same. As far as, like I said, if you feel as though you're not in control of your decisions, then like I said, I don't know what really to tell you. I'm saying like someone that's grown. I'm not saying like a kid or something like that, but like, assuming you're able-bodied, like I said, you have, some type of, like I said, mental fortitude. I mean, life gets really easier. It doesn't get easier, it just gets easier. You feel what I'm saying? But I want to know what y'all think about this, though, as far as, like I said, with the freedom of choice, or all life is like predetermined. Because like, I can tell you, I told y'all multiple times from my lens, like, everything I did was just all my choice, whether that be good or bad. But like I said, I told you, it was my choice to eat how I ate, like I said, 2 or 3 years ago. But I knew, like I said, I really couldn't stop myself. Unfortunately, it took, something bad happening physical for me to get things right. But I never blamed anyone else for my habits. Like, that shit doesn't make any sense. But once again, you got to be in the right mentality, like, to invite change to happen in your life. But like, if you kind of like stuck in that mentality of like, this should be me or this shouldn't be me, yada yada, and like, you hustling backwards. You feel what I'm saying? But I want to know what y'all think about that. How's the day going so far? Hey, hey Cody, hold on. Hey Bill, I just mentioned this when I jumped on there. I had 2 calls today, and they were like all in and out calls. Like, and guys, like I said, I try to record some, odd calls, but like, if it's like in and out, if I don't need tools to like fix a unit, then I'm not really going to record it because it's not really much content, and it is what it is. But like the first call I had, it was like a damper call. I just had the I think it was like the manual. Was it one of those manual dampers? Guys, that was like an in and out call. Like I think someone replaced the gas valve, like the pilot wouldn't light. That was like an in and out call, guys. No tools. I just had to manually open the damper, and the second call, someone knocked the float switch out, and it turned off the unit. That was like in and out, guys. But like, I mean, yeah. I mean, once again, guys, you hear me say? I mean, you take the easy calls while you can. I mean, it is what it is. But looking at the weather next week, I think next week is going to be in the 50s. So like, I mean, I hope you guys made your money this winter time, because it's definitely going to. I'm waiting for the weather to change. It looks like we're probably going to get an early summer, but I mean, I doubt it. I think it's probably going to be like in the 40s until like, what is it? Already mid-February. I think it's going to be like this until like probably the end of March. But I mean, I'm glad we had a winter this year, guys. Like if you guys were around, like I said, 2-3 years ago, maybe it snowed like maybe 1 or 2 days the whole winter. Like it's been like, was it last year or 2 winters ago? It was like 50, 60 degrees in December. It was crazy. But I mean, I'm glad it actually snowed, like I said, because I mean, summertime is guaranteed down there. I'm talking in Pennsylvania, guys. Summertime is guaranteed, but I mean, wintertime, that's where it can get kind of dicey. Look, and that's the thing that sucks about our profession, guys. Like, it gets very weather dependent in some scenarios, like especially in the wintertime. In summertime, guys, I don't know any customer that's going to stay in the hot house like that. It's either they got to get it fixed or they got to get it replaced. But like in regards to wintertime, like this is where it can get kind of dicey, with breakdowns. Because like right now, like I said, next week I gotta assume it's definitely going to slow down a little bit. But I mean, the fact that, like I said, we've been rocking out the whole winter. I mean, I know eventually the weather is going to snap, but I mean, it's still great and all to get, like I said, a cold winter. That's for sure after the past couple of years. But yeah, guys, like I said, I just wanted to hop on here, man, and talk with y'all, just to rattle some thoughts out of my head. Because like I said, guys, I got a bunch of random shit to talk about, but most of the time I forget it. But like I said, when I do remember it, I'll be sure to put this in GMC Talks. But just to sum up everything I talked about, guys, like I said, free will is definitely in your control. But once again, like I said, I'll be lying if I tell you, you're free to make your decisions and not think about the outcome of your decisions. Like I said, I'm not saying, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying you should live a perfect life. All I'm saying is, like, you got to try your best to make better decisions than what you made yesterday. And like I said, long term, remember I mentioned this a bunch of times, like long term, you never lose. Like I say, you only lose if you just kind of like, you get that instant gratification thinking that, like I said, you're going to make a decision today that's going to improve your life for the next 30 years. No, like that out of that 30 years that you're thinking about, like all that shit happens in small increments. You feel what I'm saying? But like, you can't, like I say, you can't, like I said, you can't overlook the power of just, like I said, making good decisions every day, whether that's, however you want, however your goals are. Like I said, you have to, like I said, break it down. And like I said, once you hold yourself accountable and, like I said, you make the best decision you can today, long term, it all builds up. But like, I mean, I want to know what y'all think about that, guys, but I got a barbershop appointment. What time is it? 11:48. Yeah, I'm like an hour away from home. I got to get back. But guys, I want to know what y'all think about that, though, about the whole free will versus the all life is predetermined. But like, I mean, like I said, guys, like, and I can't be hypocritical to this, because like I told you, like I said, 10 years ago, like I kind of didn't have a fully developed perspective yet. Like I was still like trying to figure things out. But like, I mean, now, like I said, I see things from both sides, and that's why I try to give y'all perspectives of how I thought before versus now, because I didn't come out of the womb like knowing everything. Like, nah, I for one, like I said, we all start off the same way. We start off being, like I said, being, impressionable. We start off by, like I said, just being influenced by what we've seen. But once you hit that certain age, like I said, it should be 18, but it could be younger. It could be, it's people out there that got to fend for themselves at 14 years old, like, or later. You get what I'm saying? But regardless of your age, like I said, eventually you're going to understand how you thought life works versus how life really works. And like I said, that difference, never forget, like I said, where you came from, but understand how the world really works. And I mean, you'll never be on the losing side. Once you realize, like, I'm not letting the law, I'm not letting someone else hold me accountable. Shit, I already know, like I said, what I'm capable of. I know how to hold myself accountable. And like, I mean, everything else is going to be an extra past that point. You feel me? But guys, I just wanted to get on here and chat with y'all, but I got to get out of here. It's 11:50. But yeah, guys, like I said, if I have any calls next week, I'll be sure to put them up. But be on the lookout, like I said, for anything else that comes up. But in the meantime, I'll see you guys next week for episode, what is this? Episode 38 is going to come out next Friday. I got a few more topics to go over. But guys, keep rocking and rolling. I got to see you guys. I got to roll. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.